Book and Wax friends. I am Amber. If you're new, welcome. Welcome back if you are returning. I have my March book wrap up today, my books and bars. So it will be the books that I did read in March and then some of the waxes that I paired along with it. There will be timestamps for everything. So if you're only interested in some of the books, or it's all there for you. It'll be there for you. So first, let's take a look at my official TBR. So on the official TBR, as you can see, I did finish 4 of these 6 books. And I would say, though, that one that I counted as finished is a DNF. So I got about 40 to 50% through the book, and I decided to DNF that. And it is A Lady's Guide to Scandal by Sophie Irwin. It was for the prompt random letter generator, so I got an L, and this was the book I picked. So I ended up DNFing this because the main character was insufferable. It's kind of a take on Persuasion, but not as good as Persuasion at all. Plus, there was a lot of now time sensibilities compared to this takes place in Regency England and was kind of written with social sensibilities that we have right now, which I'm just not really a fan of when it comes to reading Regency type books. So like I said, I got 40% in and I DNF'd it. Like I said, the main reason was the main character. I could not get behind her. She was a wet rag. She was a someone to have people walk all over type of thing. And Anne, right? That was her name from Persuasion? Yes. She was more timid, but she had backbone in how she, acted for things, despite at the beginning kind of finding out that she was persuaded to do one thing one way. So, yeah, no, DNF. And I'm not sure if I'll read any more Sophie Irwin books. Her newest is a contemporary romance, and I've heard from a lot of people that it is on the icky side. I'm not sure. Well, I've heard some things about it, but I don't want to spoil anything for anyone that is interested in that book. I can't remember the name of it, but anyway, I think I'm done reading any Sophie Irwin books. Okay, so moving on from the DNF, the first book that I read and didn't DNF in the month of March is Smoke in the Mirrors by Jessica Scarlett. This was a 5-star read for me. I loved it. This is the second book in her Slanted London series. Next year, hopefully, cross my fingers, the third book comes out, because this again kind of left on a cliffhanger. I would say not as bad of a cliffhanger as the first book, but there was still a cliffhanger. So I can't really talk about this one, but I loved the main characters. I loved all the POVs. There was multiple POVs in this one. I liked that some of the secondary characters became more main characters as well. And this is a historical fantasy, gas lamp fantasy, so it takes place during Victorian England, but it is where in England and London specifically people have magic, but using magic is banned. So you can have magic, but if you use it and you get caught, then you're executed pretty much, because they have no way of knowing whether someone is going to use magic for good or evil. And so they just outlawed using magic across the board. So in the first book, you're following a girl named Dorothy who has magic, and she has troubles controlling it. And so she kind of hangs out in in her house, and is nervous to come out and be around people because she never knows what the type of magic she uses, if she's going to have control over it. And her father ends up getting kidnapped, and both she and her father are scientifically minded. They are scientists of sorts, and they're trying to invent something that will make it so that people that are good and would use their magic in a good way would be able to, you know, not live in fear anymore and come out of hiding and be able to use their magic. So her dad gets kidnapped, and she's on the hunt in the first story for her father. And she teams up with a man named Ashley Gardner, who says he might know where this guy, who's called the Rook, is kidnapping people, and he might know who he is. And so she teams up with him, and it goes from there. So, as I said, 5 stars. I loved it. I highly recommend this series if you're into that gas lamp type of fantasy. This is a really good one for sure. So, Smoke in the Mirrors. The next book I read was a reread, and I did it on audio, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I did decide that I wanted to reread this series, and my rating, it was still 5 stars. And that could be just because of the nostalgia, but I read this first when I was an adult. I never read them as a kid. But it holds up. It's still wonderful. This is probably my least favorite of the series, but it was still a 5 star. I had a fun time, and it was fun listening to it on audio. My first time reading the book with the audio. So, okay, after that, again, because it was middle grade March, I read another middle grade, and that is The Poison King by Catherine Rundell. And was this a no, none of these were TBRs except for that first one that I DNF'd. So The Poison King is the Impossible Creatures book 2, and this is a continuation of that series, whereas the main character, Christopher, it's like 3 years later or something from the first book. And in the first book, you find out there's this archipelago that contains magic, that has a bunch of these different magical creatures and different islands and stuff. And Christopher is sucked into that world type of place. It's like through a portal. But it is in the real world. It's just protected except through different portals. And he teams up with a bunch of different people because magic and magical creatures are dying. And it goes from there. So this is a continuation, like I said, 3 years later. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I liked the first book better. I think I gave this one, what did I give this? I gave this 4 stars. I think I gave the other one 4.5 stars, 4.75. But I did really enjoy it. You got some new characters in this one, and some old characters as well make an appearance. And there was some twists to it that I thought were interesting. But yeah, it was cute. I do recommend this series. I don't know if I'm going to continue on reading, because I'm sure there'll be a 3rd book and who knows how many others. But I did enjoy the first 2. So that is The Poisoned King. The next book I read was Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I did want to read this before the movie came out. And this one I gave 4 stars again. I did really enjoy it, and 4 stars is a great rating. But I'm just not a sci-fi reader. There was a lot of like science talk in it. Not that I didn't understand it, because I did understand what they were saying. The author did not make it confusing, but there's a lot. And for me, that's just not my type of book that I enjoy reading. But I did enjoy this one. So this is about a man who loses his memory. He wakes up from a coma, and he doesn't remember where he is, and he finds out he's out in space, and he realizes slowly, he starts to remember things. It'll have flashbacks to when he's remembering something, and he finds out that he has to save the world is pretty much what it is. I loved it. As I said, it didn't give me 5-star feelings, and I just think that's just because it's not the type of genre that I'm drawn to. But I loved the themes of friendship in it. I love the extra characters in it, not only the main character. I loved the theme of courage, finding your courage, and sacrifice. And yeah, it was good. Like I said, 4 stars, just because it's not something that gave me like a 5-star feeling. What's funny though, and this doesn't normally happen in regards to books versus movies, I did enjoy the movie more than I enjoyed the book. But I'm one that does enjoy sci-fi movies and TV shows over reading sci-fi books. So, but I do highly recommend this. As I said, even though there is a lot of science talk in it, it is not something that's overly confusing. Now, I did read this with my eyes. I have heard that listening to it through audio is the way to go with that one. But they didn't have it available at my library on audio. So I just read it with my eyes, and I did enjoy that one. So that is Project Hail Mary. The next book was for middle grade March, but I just realized that I didn't let you know. This was for the prompt standalone on my official TBR. I'm always so bad at letting you guys know those things. Okay, next prompt, or was a prompt, and it was for 5-star prediction. It was a middle grade March book again, and it was Heidi by Joanna Sperry. Now, did this prediction come to fruition? No, it wasn't a 5-star for me, unfortunately. I gave this a 3.75 stars. This is about a girl named Heidi, obviously, and she is an orphan. She had been taken care of by her cousin or aunt, something like that, for quite a few years until she was like 6 or 7, somewhere around then. And then her aunt gets this job in the city in Germany. And because of that, she decides to take Heidi to her grandfather, who's kind of estranged from everybody else. And so she takes her to her grandfather, who lives in the Swiss Alps. And it's about her life there, and her life also in the city, and how she comes to make people better and befriend them, and turns people's lives around because she has this positive, sunny attitude. So I did enjoy that. I did enjoy the themes of faith and forgiveness that are in this as well. And it was really cute and sweet, and I thought it was good. I'm glad that I read it because it was on my yearly TBR, so I did want to finally pick this one up. Is it a new favorite? No, but I am glad that I read it. So that is Heidi. All right, after that, I did read Powerless, which was also on my annual TBR. This is by Lauren Roberts, and I gave this one a 3 stars. I know so many people love this series. It was fine. I liked it. It felt very copy and paste to a lot of other romanticies out there. The main male character felt very much copy and paste. The female main character as well did. And the storyline kind of did too. There were some twists that I wasn't expecting. But overall, it was a 3 stars. But I know a lot of people love this. So I won't be continuing the series. And I actually already looked up spoilers because I cared enough to find out where the story was going. And it feels like that the next few books is less copy and paste in my opinion. But I don't I don't have any desire to read them. So content-wise, this is, it has some moderate profanity. It's not like throughout the book, but it is there. And then it, of course, violence. There's some slightly descriptive violence. There was a lot of passion between the two main characters, but there was no open door scenes at all. And just a lot of chemistry connection between them. And I think there was only one kiss, if I'm remembering right. So in this book anyway, there's no open door, any sort of thing like that. And I forgot to mention in the Project Hail Mary book, which is an adult book, for the most part, there isn't even any language. There's a couple things in it, a couple profanity, harsh language, but for the most part it isn't. And the main character actually edits himself, and you come to find out why he does that when he's thinking or speaking, why he edits himself. But other than that, there was only like, I can only think of like 2 or 3 times that something is profanely said. And then there's like one chapter where there's talk of sex, but there's no on-page anything. So that is that. I'm sorry. I need to remember to talk about these things during the time I'm talking about the book. But moving on, last book of the month that I read was for the prompt Beautiful Cover. And I read Dance of Lies by Brittany Arena. This is book 1 in a duology. I am like 95% sure it's only going to be a duology. The second book does come out this year. And I would rate this a 4.5 stars. It didn't give me completely that 5-star feeling, but did it take me on a wild ride? Yes. Did I like the main characters? Yes. Did I want to see the villain get his due? Yes. A couple of the villains, there were more than one villain. Yes, I did. So this is a book, this is a story about a girl named Vasily, and she is a dancer. And at the beginning of the story, she's in prison, and you find out that and this takes place at the beginning, I think it even says it in the synopsis, that the king, who she is like the personal dancer for, frames her for murder, and she's been in prison in the dark pretty much for 2 years. And he calls her out of prison, and he tells her that if she spies for him at this big gathering of all these different royals in the different various countries that is supposed to be happening, if she's a spy for him, he will overturn his ruling and make it so that she can be free. And so the story starts there. And there's a lot of good representation as far as illness goes in this one, because she does suffer from a chronic illness because of her time spent in prison, where she's in pain all the time. And as I said, a lot of good twists and turns with this one. Some of the things I was like, oh, I wonder if this is what it is. And I was right. But there were some things I was like, oh, really? Oh my gosh. I did not see that coming. So I really loved Vasily as a character. She had this endurance and perseverance to herself, despite the tragic, awful things that had happened to her in her life, that she tried to make the best of. There is, this is adult content-wise, though. There's no language. There's no language at all, no profanity. And then there's no spice. There is a couple passionate kisses, but there's no like spice at all. There is, let me see what I said. Oh yes, this is though, as I said, adult. So there are some adult themes. They do talk about some adult things. And then there is some abuse that happens, specifically in the past for some of the characters. So it doesn't go into super graphic detail, but it is there. So as I said, I would rate this a 4.5 stars, and I will pick up the second book when it comes out this year because I did really enjoy this. So that is A Dance of Lies. Okay, so those are the books, the 8 books that I did read. Let's move on to the wax that I paired with each of the books. So if it was an audiobook, I didn't, because I'm out and about when I'm reading my audiobook, and actually a couple of them were while I was on an airplane, so I didn't have any wax to melt for those. But for the ones that I did, the first one was for Smoke in the Mirrors. I chose Bergamot and Tuberose. This one you can't get anymore. I'll let you know if you can or not. And my info is always down below. But this is a very, like, mysterious, pretty scent. And I felt like it would work really well with this one. It is, it has a little bit of sharpness from the Bergamot. But then the Tuberose makes it really creamy and just pretty. It's pretty, yet like mysterious at the same time. So that's why I chose that one. Okay, the next one, and I just realized that I did not talk about this book. Dang it, this video is going to be all over the place, and I'm so sorry, you guys. The other book that I didn't talk about that I did read on audio was the Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon, Volume 1. I rated that 4 stars. It was a great start to the series. I'm so excited to continue. I loved Emma. She was a great character, and it'll be interesting to see where things go in regards to her life and the things that she gets into. She reminds me a little bit, I would say, of like an older Anne of Green Gables. So when Anne in the older books reminds me a little bit of Emma. So Emma and I thought it was great. 4 stars. I will continue the series. So sorry for this being all over the place, but I just saw it and I was like, dang it, because I didn't have the book on me. That one was just audio. Okay, so moving on from there, the next one was Project Hail Mary. And for this one, I decided to do Seagrass and Sand. And this one, not only because it's like a masculine scent, and this one is available right now. It is a masculine, I wouldn't say like overly cologne type of scent, but it is a masculine leaning scent with that seagrass note and that saltiness to this from that. And then there's like an amber type of note in it. So I picked it because of that, but also because Ryland, the main character, I just gave away his name, but that's okay. He comes from, at the beginning of the movie, he lives in like the Bay Area, and so I figured that would be a good one. So California, San Francisco area. Okay, moving on. The next one for Heidi. This one, I decided to do the Mickey Mouse Together Forever bar. No longer available, but it's a sweet strawberry bar. Sweet, can't get sweeter than Minnie and Mickey, and so I felt like for the sweet story of Heidi, that one worked really well. Then for Powerless, I did Plum and Vanilla Orchid. You cannot get this one anymore. It was part of our Valentine's collection. But this one has a nice, like, sweet yet sharp. You know, plum can sometimes be a little sharp along with the sweetness. And that's what you get from this, kind of bright, sharp, sweet. And it felt like it worked really well with Peyton, who's the main character of that story, because she is little and petite, but fierce and sharp at the same time. So it felt like a good match for me. And then for the last one, which is A Dance of Lies, for this one, I melted Wild Honeysuckle and Willow. This one is available. And this one is it just felt like it fit, because Vasily, she endures a lot, but she has the softness to her, and you get that in this like soft honeysuckle, wild flower type of note to this one. So this was a nice one. Very soft, sweet. And yeah, that was good. So I felt like that was a good choice for Dance of Lies. So that is it, you guys. Sorry, this video is all over the place, but I'm trying to be more condensed in my talking about the books and everything else. I made it 25 minutes. That's way less than in the past. So I'm making progress. Yay. I appreciate all of you, and please like and subscribe if you'd like for more book and hung fragrance content. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. TTFN. Ta-ta for now.